The forest that we're talking about is probably one of the most dense forests on the planet. It's also likely one of the most hostile. I mean, everything about this forest says, if you come in here, I'm going to kill you, or at least I'm going to try to kill you. Lisa said I was with National Geographic for about 17 years and was the Chief Science and Exploration Officer. And among other things, I was responsible for going out and finding projects, talent, interesting opportunities, and had the chance to go to some amazing places and work with some incredible people. That I would walk you through a couple of projects that I was involved in that involved real lost cities. So, sticking with the Spanish explorer theme, this is Hernan Cortez, the conquistador. And in 1526, Cortez wrote a letter to the King of Spain where he told the king that he had heard of a province that had these extraordinary riches. And just reading from his letter, he said, I have trustworthy reports of very extensive and rich provinces and of powerful chiefs ruling over them. I've ascertained that it lies 8 to 10 days march from the town of Trujillo, or rather between 50 and 60 leagues. And so wonderful are the reports about this particular province that even allowing largely for exaggeration, it will exceed Mexico in riches and equal it in the largeness of its towns and villages and the density of its population. So based on his letter, it appeared that he was talking about an area in Honduras, which you see up in the upper right-hand corner of this map, La Mesquitia, which is a heavily forested, actually a jungle area in Honduras. And about 20 years later, there was another report which seemed to confirm what Cortez was telling the king. The then bishop in the region wrote a letter to the King of Spain describing a mysterious city in the jungle. He said that it was located in a valley and that his guides claimed that its people ate off of gold plates. So the indigenous people had told of a city that could not be entered, and that if regular people did enter it, they could not take anything out. And if they told anyone where it was, they'd be punished. There were some other versions of the story that said that it was the hiding place for deities who had retreated from the Spanish invaders. And over the years, there were reports that continued to filter out and surface about a lost city in the jungle. And in 1927, an ethnographer from Luxembourg wrote a report about one of the indigenous groups in Honduras. And in his report, he said that there were ruins that had been found some 20, 25 years earlier by someone who was looking for rubber and had gotten lost. And this individual called the city the White City, La Ciudad Blanca, because the buildings and the walls surrounding it were made entirely of white stone. And so over the years, a lot of people went out searching for it, including this guy, Theodore Mord. Mord was an adventurer, he was an explorer, he was a diplomat, he became a spy during World War II, he was a journalist, and he was even a television news producer. And in 1940, Mord was hired to lead an expedition to Honduras for the Museum of American Indian. And there'd been 2 previous expeditions that had turned up rumors of a lost city that the locals called the lost city of the monkey god. And so for after about 4 months, Mord emerges from the forest and he makes this extraordinary claim. And the New York Times had this headline proclaiming the city of the monkey god is believed located. The expedition reports success in Honduras exploration. And he brought back with him hundreds of artifacts, blades, flute, sculptured idols, stone utensils to basically back up his claim. And he also reported seeing evidence of gold and silver and platinum and oil. And some people believe that that was the real reason he was there, looking for gold and silver and oil. So Mord went on to write this rather colorful travelogue of his experience, and it was titled "In the Lost City of Ancient America's Monkey God," and it was for a weekly magazine. And he said he was convinced he had found the legendary lost city of the monkey god. And he described penetrating far into the Mesquitia territory, of warding off malaria, deadly snakes, vicious insects, various jungle beasts, before coming upon the ruins. And then he describes towering mountains that sort of framed this ideal setting. And it was there that he discovered the walled city. And within the walled city, there was a great temple with a vast staircase that was leading up a high stone dais on which the monkey god himself sat. Now, he never returned. He never got back to Honduras, and he never disclosed the location of the La Ciudad Blanca, or the city of the monkey god. And so this area, again, this you see up where the red arrow is in the upper right-hand corner, it covers about 32,000 square miles of northeast Honduras and Nicaragua. And in 2015, a group approached us at National Geographic claiming that they had found La Ciudad Blanca. They had used lidar, which is a laser technology, and you can see from this slide what lidar actually does is it helps you strip away foliage and the forest canopy so that the surface of the earth is visible, and you can see where human hands have actually worked the surface. So it has, great utility in archaeology. So the survey identified 3 sites of potential interest, and so the next step was to send in, teams to basically ground truth the lidar. Now, there's only one problem with that. The forest that we're talking about is probably one of the most dense forests on the planet. It's also likely one of the most hostile. I mean, everything about this forest says, if you come in here, I'm going to kill you, or at least I'm going to try to kill you. It has jumping vipers, coral snakes, something called a fertilance, which is a very aggressive territorial snake. Its nickname is the ultimate viper. There were stinging plants, whitewater mountains, malaria, dengue fever, leishmaniasis, chagas. So all in all, a really welcoming, warm place. So naturally, we had to go and take a look, because how can you turn down an invitation like that? And convinced the Honduran government to provide us with some assistance. They provided military helicopters that ferried the team out to the location, or at least tried to get the team as close as possible to the site. They put us down on you can kind of see it in the lower bottom of the frame, on a gravel sandbar. And from there, we had to hike up into the jungle, and you can see that it's a pretty forested area. It's slow going. The team had to hack their way through there with machetes, but eventually came to a hill and came to a hearing, or rather a clearing, I should say, and saw this. Just lying on the ground, half buried, were more than 50 carved stone objects of various spirit animals, snakes. This is a vulture. One of the more amazing ones was a weird jaguar, half man, half jaguar. What we'd actually found was an area of about 3 square kilometers, It was a village. It had what appeared to be ball courts, plazas, various buildings, including sort of a pyramidal structure. Um, and the excavation continues. It's a very inhospitable location, so the going has been slow. But the people who inhabited this were likely contemporaries of the Mayans. And so this is me and Fred Hebert, who is the in-house archaeologist, and we're feeling pretty good. This is before we actually started into the jungle. We had gotten ourselves anti-snake venom, and we had snake gators, so we were ready for everything. What we didn't know was that we probably shouldn't have been so concerned with snakes, and rather should have worried about this little tiny sandfly that's in the area and that carries a parasite called leishmaniasis. And as a consequence of that, about half of the team had, well, all of us, I guess, were bitten, but half the team from those bites contracted the parasite that this sandfly carries. And the only way to get rid of it is basically to go through a pretty heavy regimen of chemotherapy. And so half the team spent their time after the expedition at NIH being treated. Now, one of the interesting things is that, yeah, we found this one place, but if you fly over Honduras, if you fly over Guatemala, Nicaragua, you'll see these heavily forested, jungled areas, and you'll see hills throughout the area. And more likely than not, these hills are actually structures that have been covered over by the jungle. And so there are vast areas that have not been explored, and there are cities, I have no doubt, waiting to be found. And hopefully they are found before looters or development takes place and destroys these regions.